Okay, class. So what are the implications when you identify that the contract is void under a certain scenario? Okay, based on the contract act, both party has no right to perform any obligation. So if you look at the word here, no title or no right can pass under it. Okay, neither party, this one's supposed to be neither party is under any obligation to perform. That means both party don't have to perform, right? But in that scenario, let's say one of the party has paid for maybe advance payment or any advantages under the agreement, they are bound to restore it or to make compensation for it to the person from whom he received it. Okay, so basically, if there are any advantages that you already paid, but then the other party did not get anything, you have to restore to the party who get advantage from that. This is provided under section 66. This is section S66 in the contract act, and you can also see the illustration under section 14 in the contract act. Now let's look at what are the example of the void agreement. Okay, look at number one. Agreement are void if any part of the consideration or maybe the consideration itself are considered as unlawful. Okay, this is as shown in section number 25 in the Contract Act 1950. As what we referred before when we talk about consideration, if you remember, a contract without consideration is void, right? And under section 23, the consideration of an object is unlawful if it is actually falls under any of the subsection as shown in this particular diagram. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you can see number one, it involves or implies injury to the person or property of another. Let's say one of the party A offer to B to kill someone. For example, A offer to B to hit someone driving the car. You can see that this is actually happen in our daily life. Okay, so if let's say you are contracting to someone to do that and the other person think that they are bound to carry out that, that is actually not enforceable. Okay, it involves or implies any information regarding to the injury. Can you see that? So that is considered as unlawful. Okay, number two, the court regard it as the immoral or opposed to the public policy. Whatever that is immoral, prostitution, contract for the prostitution, gambling, that is considered as immoral, that is also considered as unlawful. Okay, number three, when the consideration is forbidden by the law, that is also considered as void. It is of such a nature, if permitted, it would defeat any law. Okay, so this is in some special condition, or maybe the consideration is made by fraudulent, okay, by intention to deceive someone. That are the explanation for the void contract under the issue of consideration. Okay, and then number two, we also have to look at the issue of the consideration, but in another section as stated under section number 26. An agreement made without consideration unless it is in writing, registered, or it is a promise of compensation, promise to compensate for something, or maybe a promise to pay a debt. This is normally when you are making the bank loan, we have the contract to do that. So that is considered as void. Okay, for example, let's say you have the contract to buy the house, then you are using the bank loan, but then there is no consideration made. Also, there is no proper arrangement made between the party, sale and purchase party, so the contract can be void. Okay, because basically, if you refer back to the previous issue, the debt shown that it must be in writing. Okay, so that is one of the issue where you carry out the consideration, but it is not fulfilled as what had been shown in that particular or in that stipulated clause or section in the contract act. Number three, an agreement in restraining of the marriage under section number 37. This is considered as illegal. You cannot restrain the person from marriage unless the person is underage. If the person is after 18 years old or 18 years old and above, there is no issue. Okay, and an agreement in restraint of the trade. This is also have been accepted by the English common law, except if an agreement not to carry on the business of which goodwill was sold or based on dissolution, or maybe as the continuation from the partnership. Okay, for item number 4, we can see at the end of this lecture, one of the illegal issue that is considered as forbidden by the law, or the contract that the contract will be void at the end. They are exception. So if you look at item number 4, the exception are 3. Number 1, restrain agreement not to carry out the business, which is the goodwill. Okay, the goodwill can be the reputation, can be the percentage of the money from the capital. Number 2 is agreement made prior dissolution of the company or partnership, and number 3 is agreement made during the continuance of the partnership. Okay, basically the agreement basically between two party. Okay, when we talk about partnership, it is actually the relationship between two party in carry out the business. Okay, if they are agreement between the partnership, A has the agreement between B, A and B has a partnership relationship to carry out one business, for example. So they are exception that A is not allowed to carry out any partnership with another party. So that is the example of the restraint of the trade is allowed. Other than these 3, the restraint of the trade is not allowed, means the contract, if this one happened, the contract is void. However, under section number 28 of the Act stipulate the exception to this type. So this section 28 is actually the explanation for the exceptional issue under item number 4. Right, next one, you can refer to the an agreement in restraint of the legal proceeding except the contract agreed to refer to dispute for the arbitration. Arbitration is one of the dispute resolution, or a contract relating to the scholarship under section number 29. This is also the issue that we have to consider in explaining the possibility that the contract will be void. An agreement the meaning of which it is not certain or capable of being made certain under section number 30 is considered as void. If you remember, at the early stage of learning law of contract, we have seen that in order for us to give the offer itself, it must be certain. And in order for us to make sure that the offer is having the possibility to be accepted, also must be certain. So when you are talking about the word that is not certain in forming a contract, we can say that the contract is void under section 30. Okay, an agreement by way of wager under section 31, 1950 also had been highlighted regarding to the issue of void agreement. Now let's go to the issue of illegality. Sometimes you can see that some of the reference show that the illegality and void agreement are different, but sometimes they are referring to the same thing, because illegal will finally or will eventually make the contract to be void. A contract is illegal if it is contravene a statute, means it is not consistent with the statute, or in Malaysia we also referring to English common law. Okay, so that is the first statement that must be in your mind when we talk about illegality or illegal contract. It may exist in regards to the making of the contract. For example, maybe contract to break into a house, contract to hit the people, contract to make the people falls into accident. Okay, and then anything regarding to the contract to form any criminal conspiracy, this is considered as illegal operation or illegal contract. Contract containing any criminal elements considered as illegal. Okay, why it is illegal? Because it is inconsistent with the law. Right. Now, let's look at the example of the illegal contract. Contract declared illegal by the statute, that means by the Contract Act, or it is clearly written, or another one is contract that is illegal at the English common law. Okay, so let's look at certain example. Contract declared illegal by the statute, considered as void. Okay, look at the example in the right hand side. Lipkin versus Carpneil. A partner in the firm stole the money from the firm, which was exchanged for the gambling. Can you see the word gambling? And you see the gambling was used to place bets with K. K is Carpneil. Okay, so it was held in this case. The transaction was void. The transaction where the person stole the money from the firm for gambling is considered as void, as the Gambling Act is not allowed by the law for this particular court case, and therefore it did not constitute valuable consideration for the contract. So the contract is void. Okay, next one, we look at the issue that lead the contract to be void under English common law or under common law. Number one, contract to commit a crime or a tort. This is what we see earlier in my earlier explanation. The contract to carry out any criminal issue will be considered as law. Okay, commit a crime. For example, in Malaysia we have SPRM. That is a contract for the bribery. That is definitely illegal, not allowed. Okay, another example, you can see a contract to break a house, contract to kill the people, as long as it is considered as tort or criminal against the law, that is not allowed. Okay, contract to make a counterfeit coin, commit theft, are the example of this kind. Look at the first statement. This is also what I repeat earlier. It is illegal in some cases to agree for the consideration not to prosecute an offender. Okay, not to prosecute an offender. To contract a police officer for consideration not to prosecute an offender. This is something like bribery. You pay the police so that the police did not sue or did not prosecute the party that is actually making the crime. Okay, this is amount to corruption, and it is of course considered as illegal. Okay, now these are the example.